Day one in the books, and what a day it was. Lions take advantage of the all-offense draft to start. Couple defensive players sliding down. Brad Holmes working the phones, threading the needle, John, because we were getting a little anxious, a little itchy up on the stage last night at Buffalo Wild Wings, talking to people going, hey, do you want him to trade up? Time to trade up? Are you waiting? There's a good group. When do you make your move? Moves up 5 spots, gives up a third-round pick, and gets a player they never dreamed would be there, Terrion Arnold. Now as we look to day 2, they do not have the 2 picks we thought they were going to have. They just have the 1 at 61.
Yep.
Holmes can maneuver, but as we sit today, they got 1 pick. Some of the best names still on the board. How do you hope this goes?
I hope they go offensive line. And this will test a little bit the best available in the second round, and they can manufacture that a little bit if they want to bump up a little bit, or say that the guy fell to us. However they talk about it, or the semantics that they use, I don't care. There's still a number of really good offensive linemen. The 2 centers that we have talked about, Jackson Powers-Johnson and Zach Frazier, both still on the board. And not everybody is going to go offense. If they went, offensive, 9 offensive linemen were taken in the first round. It would be rare for a team in the first 2 rounds to go O-line, O-line. It doesn't mean it can't happen. It just seems to be rare that would happen. So there's going to be a number of these players that will be available to the Lions. I don't know if either of those guys are. Cooper Beebe, guy we talked about yesterday a little bit more. TJ and I talked about him on the pod this week. A monster inside, not just in terms of how he plays, but an actual monster. I mean, he's a big 350, 340. Christian Hayes is available as a guard.
UConn guard.
UConn guard. He's a big dude and plays with a mean streak as well. Zach Zinter will be available at that time. Kingsley, and I don't want to butcher the name, but Suamatia.
Close enough.
Yeah.
He's, I believe, Penei Sewell's cousin. I'm not going to kill you for it. I don't have the pronunciation ready either.
Yeah.
BYU tackle, could play guard, would be a different kind of flexible, not a center guard, but a tackle guard. And again, cousin of Penei Sewell. He may go before the Lions pick at 61. Same with Powers-Johnson. Same with Zach Frazier. The point is, someone could continue to fall. They also could trade up. They could use future capital. But I agree with you. Offensive line, to me, is the priority for today.
And having gone through that whole process there's going to be, I think, one of those 6 players that I talked about will be available at 61, and the interior of this offensive line is older. Somebody even said elderly early in the season or early in the week. And whether it's Graham, who I know is here for a couple of years, but he's in his 30s. Zeitler is on a 1-year deal, and he's played a long time. Frank, we've gone through the whole situation with him, and at some point they've got to create reinforcement. Now, what we don't know is what has Colby Sorsdahl been doing this offseason? Is he putting in the work to be a reliable backup? He doesn't seem to me to be a guy that's ever going to be that starter, but is he a reliable backup that can come in and play at a right tackle spot or either guard? Like that is, and Owusika. I saw him come in the NFC Championship game, played well. So they have competent backups, but I want a guy that is going to come in as a backup, but eventually will be a starter. Neither of those guys I mentioned fill that role.
Yeah, so said slightly differently, they don't have to panic,
right?
But it is still a priority, and especially someone who could be a long-term addition to the offensive line so you don't have drop-off, so that this window, and I know Holmes doesn't really subscribe to the window theory, but so that you have as many competitive years as possible where you do run the ball, where you do play action pass, et cetera, et cetera.